right. Super. So last talk of the day, huh? No pressure. So yeah, I wanted to kind of give you an insight of sure, being an entrepreneur and all the hard work and the sleepless night, and why when I started as an entrepreneur, I never thought I would be a VC. I was over my dead body. But I think with all the journey and I think it's just that it went, no, I think it went in sleep mode. That's why. Yeah, I'll try to keep it alive. Yeah, I wanted to kind of give you an insight on my journey and why I decided to be a VC and the lessons from my entrepreneurial journey that are useful now as an investor. And that's a talk that I gave a few times. And usually it's a longer talk, but I want to go very quickly through it to kind of give you an overview of my long journey. And I want to keep a little time for a Q&A because I think that's the most fun part. So, we have left brain, right brain. One is more analytical, one is more creative. So I had that too. And there's two main things that define my life as a child. First, my grandfather was an entrepreneur. For people in the province in Quebec and Canada, La Parisienne is a very well-known bleach brand. So I was always fascinated by entrepreneurship. Unfortunately, I never met my grandfather. He died before I was born, but it was kind of the mythical grandfather. And so my grandfather had 5 children, three boys, two girls. And so my mom, was involved in the company from the start. And so we had talks, around the table about the business and things like that. So I really enjoyed that. And most of the comfort, let's say, I had in life came from the risk that my grandfather took as an entrepreneur. So I really respected that. And, I'm an hardcore gamer. So I started playing on the ColecoVision in the 80s. I found out through my son at 40-year-old that I was dyslexic. And it kind of makes sense in hindsight why I love video games. I was never a big fan of school. My preferred way of learning is doing things in real life. And, games are great simulators. I learned economics and things like that using playing Civilization, SimCity, Quake is an amazing game. I remember I was doing my university studies and it came out and all we would do at lab time and in the lab at lunchtime was playing Quake. And I was always an early adopter. So, I had a Windows C mini computer from NEC, one of the first smartphone from Sony Ericsson. Zelda is still one of my favorite games of all time. I learned English playing Zelda. And the Sega Genesis, that was more my high school and playing NHL 94 with my best friend. So that was pretty awesome. So that are the two main things that defines me in my youth. And that kind of influenced me in what I would do for studies. So to kind of cater my creative part, I decided to do computer engineering in Sherbrooke, which is like for people doing Waterloo. In Canada, it's like the French-Canadian equivalent. And for more the business side, I did my MBA at HEC Montréal. So engineering and business, pretty cool combo. But while I was doing my MBA, I was sure super stimulated taking entrepreneurial courses and learning about marketing and things like that. And I read an article about the Xbox 360 being launched in 2005. So I started researching, because way back in 2005, the best graphic card from NVIDIA was in a console, which is pretty unique. Now it's in PC. But back then, they managed to put the best graphic card in a console. So I was like, oh, this is like my eureka moment. I've been thinking about VR since the Power Glove, on the NES. And I was quite disappointed, by the Virtual Boy and the almost to market Sega VR. But I was like, well, if nobody is at least giving a try at VR for gaming, why not me? So started in my basement in 2005, and something that I thought would take a couple years to get a cool proof of concept took many, many years. So it took us 8 years to finally, when you're building deep tech, sometimes you control things and sometimes you don't. So I was like, okay, started with some sensors that were pretty mediocre, but then the Wii came along and then the sensors got better. Then there was the Wii Motion Plus that added gyroscope, not just accelerometers. But then I was like, okay, so that's the good part. But then, I need to have better screens, because the screens were like 16 bits, VGA, really poor color reproduction. But then the iPhone came along with the Retina display. It kind of pushed the technology there. And I was like, okay, now I need to be able to make the games 3D. That's going to be challenging to convince the gaming studios. But then the 3D TV came along, and the content became 3D. So by 2013, and as you can, so if like by hand, who ever played like Splinter Cell here? So a few, so got inspired by Splinter Cell. I always wanted the headset to be nice looking. So that was our first prototype that we did. And back in the days, there was, as I said, 3D TV was really something. So my first demo to really important people was at CES in 2013, where I showed Avatar to people at Ubisoft, and they really liked it. So I did a little pre-seed with that. And then in 2014, when Kickstarter was something, now it's not what it used to, but Oculus at launch 2 years before, quite successful Kickstarter. And in Canada, investors are very risk averse, so Kickstarter was a great way to show that we had traction. So we raised a seed round with the only VC in Canada was not petrified by consumer hardware, called Real Ventures. But it was a very small seed, so $750,000. And so we focused on the Kickstarter. When Oculus got bought, there was a lot of backlash from the community. So we, as an entrepreneur, you always try to be opportunistic when there's something happening and you want to show that there's alternative solutions. So what we did, we just published on Reddit in the virtual reality section a press release saying, if you guys are looking for an alternative, we'll come with a solution. But, because this is a different crowd, so I can kind of put more details that people will understand. But there was a lot of skepticism about us being the real thing. So I remember Kyle from Road to VR, he reached to me, was like, "Can I do an interview?" Blah blah. I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And then he saw that we were the real deal and everything. And then when we launched our Kickstarter, so when we published on Reddit, the first night, I went to bed and it was 7,000 people visited my website, and it was more than ever before, so I was super excited. What I didn't expect is during the night, there was, all right, it's bad. Oh my God. Okay. It's just to wake you up, So, yeah, all right. So, yeah, I don't know if there's a way to put this in. Oh shit. Anyway, where was I? Yeah. So during the night, there was someone who republished her story from virtual reality to technology, and we made #1 story of the day. And we had 250,000 of people on our website that day. And I was like, okay, shit. It didn't crash. The website didn't crash. It's great and everything. So when we launched our Kickstarter, we already had maybe 20,000 people on our waiting list and everything. So our Kickstarter was quite successful on the first day. We raised $100K. But it was 2 days before the first Oculus Connect. And after that, they announced, because we were battling against the DK2, we were super competitive. But then, when they announced a consumer version, we were pretty much on par, and people prefer a more established company, which I understand. So it flatlined, and we just pulled the campaign off. But it was an interesting device. But the front cameras were not for AR. But what was nothing happens for nothing. So what we learned, it was feedback from users. We're like, "Oh, you have cameras, so you can do AR. That's interesting." I'm like, "No, we cannot do AR, but that's a great idea." So we went from and back then, because I didn't raise that much money, and I was banking on a successful Kickstarter to raise our Series A. We only had we had maybe 18 months runway, which is quite good. But I knew that if we wanted to be competitive, I needed to double the team and redesign everything to merge AR and VR into a single device. So that's what we did. But then our runway went from 18 months to 6 months because of all the hardware costs and everything. But, I talked to the team and slept on it and decided to go all in and do it. And then the next year, we came up with our first version that we're using video pass-through and got quite a good reception, but we were still focusing on consumer, so low cost, and we were using, for the geeks out here, RGB infrared combo cameras. So you had one less green to do your Bert filter. So it was like looking through the world through sunglasses. So the pop-up AR was great, and we were still low latency and everything. So we had quite an impressive demo. But the fact that the real world was very washed out was a kind of a bummer. So we pivoted, and we went from B2C to B2B, and really go for super high-end components. So really a best-of-breed approach. So that was, I think that was at SIGGRAPH that we showed our new version. Now the quality was great. We used industrial sensors from Sony. We had dedicated infrared cameras, so it was really great. And then the hardware kind of stayed the same, but then often the magic happens in the software, so we really improve the software and the FPGA and all that to really nail the little details and polish it. And then at CES 2017, out of the blue, we won like best in show. We didn't even have a booth, you know. I was running on super low cash, like 7 times in the last 18 months before getting acquired. I didn't know how to make pay, so we were always like being very scrappy and doing the impossible. But you know, like maybe 4 months earlier, I met someone from Tom's Hardware at a conference that you might know, Immerse in Toronto. It doesn't exist anymore. But the journalist there was super impressed and told the editor-in-chief, you absolutely need to try that demo at CES, which it did, and it was like in a hallway of a casino. But you know, you need to hustle, and that's what we did. And it just made a super nice article. I was already over the moon. But then 2 days later, he announced his best in show, and we won. So that kind of cemented our place as the best headset out there. And there's a little company called Apple that came back to us and said, look, maybe we should work together. So that's what we did. So got acquired end of 2017. And then me and 8 other people, we moved to California to work the secret location because there was no way that it would happen at a spaceship. And then worked there mostly on the video pass-through to make sure that it would be the best it could be with current technology. And you know, as an entrepreneur, it was quite hard to conciliate, let's say, entrepreneurship and big company structure. But if you want to know all the little details, that's a great interview I did. It's in French, but it's on YouTube, and you could put English subtitle. But let's not put too much time on that. And then during the pandemic, decided to come back in Montreal and started their R&D office in Montreal for the Vision Pro. And that was a great experience. But then, that's kind of the end of my presentation. I got approached to start a VC firm, but this slide is more about the reveal. So like 18 years later, at WWDC last year, finally they announced the Vision Pro. So that was kind of a relief for me, because you never know, like there's always a business risk, will they launch it or not? So that was quite a moment for me. Yeah, thanks. And then, so why start Triptych? So when I came back in Montreal, like I saw that, so as an entrepreneur, I got backed by a generous VC that kind of had a spray and pray approach. And it was quite hard for me, like, to be kind of just a number and don't get the support. And when I came back in Montreal, I saw that the ecosystem was getting worse, not better. I was doing angel investment, usually pre-seed, and then when it was time to raise a seed round, there was nobody to lead the round. So when I got approached, you know, I told them, you know, I'm willing to do it, but we need to be specialized fund, leading rounds, doing not too many deals a year. So we only do 5 deals a year. You know, I was I was very judgmental before with VCs. I would tell their entrepreneurs and things like that. But starting a fund, now I can say I'm a serial entrepreneur, because you know, you need to convince LPs to give you money. You need to find a thesis that's differentiated from all the VCs. So like, I'm not battling against VCs in Canada. I'm mostly battling against VCs in California. So like how to bring value to the entrepreneurs. So we decided to really focus on entertainment and technology. Why entertainment is because, sure, I'm a hardcore gamer, so I know entertainment. But more than that is that, I love new technologies. And usually new technology, they start in entertainment. So that was kind of really something. Anyway, it's pretty much over. So that's one of their learnings, is like I created a VC that I wanted to exist, that didn't exist. And also, all those battle scars made me much more, like I'm already super empathetic, but now I can really relate with entrepreneurs when they struggle at mental health issues. Like the last 18 months, I didn't sleep more than 4 hours, gained a lot of weight because I was drinking a lot to release the stress and things like that. So I really know the struggles. So I think that's something I can bring to the table. And I see there's only like 2-3 minutes left, and I want to keep time for Q&A, but that's pretty much the main things that I think is great about VC is that, all those hard times, now I can leverage them to give back to, one, the community, because I'm a big believer in XR, and I think it's going to change the world, especially like in education. As a dyslexic person learning through video games, I think like, sure, games are great, but there's a way to gamify education. And so if I can be part of making this happen faster, that's something that's important to me. So that's it. I hope that you'll remember that you need audacity in life to create a dent in the universe, to quote Steve Jobs. So thank you.
All right, I think we have time for just a single question. That's okay.
I just wanted to thank you for what you've done. In 2016, I was the speaker at AWE, and I saw the first Nirvana, and you had a psychedelic experience.
Yeah,
and I was
the LSD mode.
Yeah, I was so blown away. I brought so many people to your booth. I was very excited about it. And then when I found out later that you had been one of the lead people to lead Apple down this primrose path that we're at. So I wanted to wish congratulations and, thank you.
Thank you. I'm sure Quinn have more than one question.
Technically, that wasn't a question.
Yeah, you're right. Are you a lawyer?
One question.
Thank you. Guys, I hope this is good. Okay, so in today's investment environment, the common belief is that entertainment actually is not attractive to VCs because it does not scale and is very risky. And so for those of us who are in the entertainment business, who are trying to look for funding, can you give advice or perspective for those of us who are trying, is it right to go to VCs for entertainment, IP, and technology? And if so, what are the key things you're looking for that would make you turn a no to a yes?
Great question. I think like when we kind of decided our thesis in 2021, and there was lots of skepticism in Montreal, even though we have lots of gaming studios and things like that. But recently A16Z announced Speedrun, which is on target with their thesis. And as a VC, we don't do content because content, it's a bit like movies. It's even if you have an all-star team and everything, the success is not assured. But we do invest in tools that would enable games or platform or things like that. So, but I was at Griffin yesterday, big VC in Santa Monica, and they do invest in content. So there are VCs that do sole content plays. But I would say scalability is really important if you want to pitch to a VC. So like location-based entertainment, that's a hard sell. But, you know, I believe that, you know, we're really at an inflection point because you're going to kind of see more and more great games on Quest 3. I think the next generation, you'll get AAA gaming, and it will explode. So I think you need to find a right VC. It's always that. It's like me when at Vervana, I had to find hardware VCs. There's not much of them. Most of them had made their bets, like in Magic Leap or Meta, the old Meta, or Daiquiri or whatever. So because Canada was very conservative, we kind of lost a year in our fundraising, so it was kind of hard. But I would say you need to kind of see what kind of investment they did, like research your VCs and find a partner, because you need to understand also the dynamics at a VC. So you need to pitch to the right partner that will become your champion, and then that will convince his other partners at the investment committee to invest. But happy to discuss more offline.